Alright fellas, here we are back on Pokemon Masters, and tomorrow we are going to be getting our first ever PALDEAN character as well as our first ever sprint roll character, right? So yes, Nemona is dropping tomorrow as the time of recording this and uploading this, and yeah, we're going to be seeing should you summon for this character. I actually really am glad that we are getting PALDEAN characters, right? Like, obviously we knew they would be coming, we just didn't really know when, right? I'm not really too hyped to have her now, but I am glad that, you know, we got the confirmation that more PALDEAN characters will be coming probably soon in the future, right? I'd expect another one definitely before the end of the year for sure, if not multiple. Likely multiple, right? Like the protagonists and whatnot, maybe the professors, and especially the Pokemon, right? Especially like the Paradox forms. Oh, that'd be so cool to get. But anyway. Nimona here is also the first ever sprint roll character. I went over a video, or I had a video where I went over sprint and field characters, the two new roles, and kind of just discussed like how they could work, how they may, you know, become very, very strong later on, and whatever else, right? But looking at Nimona here, she is the first ever sprint character, and she's kind of giving us a little bit of an outline of what a sprint character may be able to do, right? And we're going to see just how good she is. So looking at her kit, or her stats more like it, 635 HP, level 145 stars, of course, 468 attack, very, very good attack, 176 defense, 157 special defense, pretty average defensive stats for damage dealers, I would say. But she also isn't even a DPS unit for the most part. Anyway, 448 speed, great speed tier, amazing speed tier, right? So she's got that going for her. And looking at her abilities, she has Honing Hit 9 here in the passive skills, grants all the following effects when the user's move is successful, raises her attack by 2 and crit by 1. She also has Soften Up 1, critical hits land more easily when the user attacks with the sync move, meaning with max crit, you're guaranteeing a crit on your sync move, which is great, right? Being able to guarantee that crit instead of having to roll that 80% chance. Awesome. Amazing, right? So glad I can do that. So we can get them guaranteed critical hit sync moves in there, don't have to reset. And then first sync move, that's what it is. First sync move, restore buddy move MP 1, restores 1 MP of the user's buddy move the first time its sync move is used each battle. So as it's, you know, as revealed, she does have a buddy move, and its MP will be restored after she uses her sync move. So this can be very, very strong of an ability, right? Also, I failed to mention this. She is a Pokefairy unit, right? She's going to be releasing 8th, of course, 8th of August, and then she will be ending on August 28th, the day of the anniversary characters, the first anniversary characters release, right? So she will not be up for the anniversary, but thankfully she will still be available for the anniversary data mine and character reveals, so you can definitely wait until then to decide if you want to summon for Nimona, right? Definitely a very, very good thing for a lot of us, right? You can decide to summon for both her and Drasna and Olympia, right? You can definitely decide to choose to summon for them before the anniversary, or after the anniversary characters have been revealed, so keep that in mind there when making your decision to summon for this character. Anyway, looking at their moves, she has Thunder Punch, 2 gauge move, 47 base power, 10% chance of paralysis. Not a great move, doesn't really need to be explained. EX Speed, she is also the first character to have an EX item, which maxes the stat in question. So we may get EX Dire Hit, which will max our crit, you know, +3. EX Attack, max attack, you know, stuff like that, right? These EX items, I do expect them to be a lot more common now, right? So yeah, EX Speed, raises speed by 6. Awesome, right? She has her trainer move here, Let's Battle All Out, reduces sync move countdown of an allied sync pair by 2, raises an ally's attack by 2, applies the gradual healing effect to an ally, applies the damage guard next effect to an ally, and applies endurance to an ally. So they're essentially building this character, for 1, very fast, 2, sync countdown, 3, sync countdown. This is all sync countdown, right? Sync countdown and speed is kind of what this unit seems to be focusing on, as well as trying to fit some techie-based roles, right? Being able to apply this to an ally is great. You're giving them gradual healing, attack buffs, endurance, damage guard. You're making it so they don't take a lot of damage, right? Especially for that next attack, right? As well as giving them a little bit of offensive buffs, as well as reducing your sync countdown. This ability can definitely be good. I can't really think of many situations where it would be amazing right now, but like maybe if you want to use her as a tank and you want to use this ability on yourself and get yourself to Get yourself that endurance and damage guard and gradual healing, and maybe you can make Nemona your tank. Or, of course, maybe if you have a frailer support unit in, like, the case that you're not using a super top tier support, you can use it on your support and give them healing, damage guard, and endurance to where they can take more hits effectively, right? The ability alone is already definitely worth using over some other options in her trainer move or her kit, just for the fact that you do get the sync countdown, right? So that is definitely very, very worth it if you even have to use it on your support, right? So you're making up for that. And then, of course, Buddy Double Shock here. 100 base power minimum at 1 out of 5. It's a physical move with 1 use. No gauge, it seems. It targets a single opponent and is a quick move. So yeah, quick move, right? No target. Anyway, when the user's speed is raised is the activation condition. So obviously EX speed or speedy entry or something from allies. You're going to be getting this Buddy move activated. Raises the user's, deactivation conditions when the user's speed is not raised. So if you go into the negatives on your speed, or you go to 0, you will not have this Buddy move activated. The more the user's speed is raised, the greater the power of this attack, and applies the free move's next effect to all allied sync pairs. So she's going to be working for your gauge, which is great, especially because her speed tier is already really, really good, as well as giving herself max speed in a single turn. That's a very strong ability. So you're giving yourself also free moves next, meaning that you're going to be helping out with gauge even more. So this unit's got a lot of good gauge efficiency stuff to it as well, right? And the power for the speed being raised is unknown. If this power buff is like 100% or 200%, this is a pretty powerful move, right? If it's not, and it's like 30%, like ramming speed, it's not that strong of a move, right? So this really just depends on how strong this ability is here when it comes to see how powerful her nuke is. Because if her nuke is like Ash, to where his multiplier, how his multipliers work, we could get something really, really strong, right? Like, if we look at Ash's Buddy Thunderbolt, okay, it's 480 base power off the rip. But even then, with that type of base power, if you still do give this a really strong multiplier, like 100%, it's not going to be hitting nearly as strong as that, right? I'm not going to say that at all. But it will still be hitting like a really powerful move, right? Essentially as kind of probably a weaker sync move, I would say. I don't know. Something like, maybe like a Hyper Beam. That's probably a better way to say it. Hitting like a Hyper Beam, that's not bad damage for sure. But you do have to consider it is only 1 use, right? But of course, if you use your sync move, you'll be getting MP on this trainer move, or on this Buddy move once. Only the first time you use your sync move, it will activate. So you can get a total of 2 uses out of this Buddy move, and you could potentially, really work with that, right? Just depends how much damage this does on how valuable this will be. Otherwise, you're pretty much relying on Thunder Punch or your sync nuke as your own form of damage. And speaking of her sync nuke, 200 base power minimum, 240 base power maximum. The more the user's speed is raised, the greater the power of this attack. So it is an innate inertia, right? 100% power buff here, so that's very, very good there. Only thing is that she does not have Tech EX. She has Sprint EX, so you will not be getting a power buff on this sync move, right? Which is annoying, but you can potentially make up for it here with the Sprint 6-star EX effect, which is the first time the user's sync move is used each battle, the sync move countdown is reduced by 3. The greatest thing with this ability here is that you're able to skip an entire turn worth of moves after using your sync move, right? Which can be amazing, right? Sync countdown is definitely one of the most important abilities in this game, and potentially being able to get sync moves just easier and easier and easier, right? It can just work out so well in every situation. Stadium, Legendary Gauntlet, high score event, every sort of difficult content you can think of. Extreme battle events, all of that culminates with this, right? Being able to get extra sync moves in faster and faster is what makes a lot of units really, really strong really, really quickly, right? That's why Support EX was so strong on release. Still is strong now, but the way that the game is shifting, Tech EX is becoming a lot more valuable, right? But anyway, that's why this stuff is so powerful, like Support EX, because you get this double sync buff after using your sync move, and your moves just hit harder and harder. Same thing with this. You get to use sync countdown and get sync moves quicker and quicker, build up more sync buffs, do more and more damage, right? Which is amazing. So I do like the Sprint EX function. I just think that they need a little bit better of a way to put it into the game, right? I think that Nimona, while good for sure, is not the best example of how a Sprint EX unit can function. I do like that she's able to reduce sync countdown in her trainer move here. I think that is definitely a very, very good ability for sure. especially if you get NPR on the trainer move, this could be really, really good. If this ability works to restore all of her moves MP, including her buddy move, I think I would be, whistling a whole different tune here, because you can definitely manipulate the sync countdown from this, as well as damage guard and endurance and all of that, right? Just depending on how you want to do it. But still, going for NPR on this could be big. Combine it with the Sprint EX, you've got yourself a lot of sync countdown and a pretty powerful unit to boot. Anyway, let's look at her grid. By the way, before I say anything else, don't summon. Wait until the anniversary data mod. Come on, this is simple. Nemona, I do think she's a good unit. I do think a lot of her strengths are nice. Let me go back into Pawmot. There we go. I do think a lot of her strengths are really, really good for sure. But obviously, with her ending on the 28th, you will be able to get the anniversary data mine. Maybe not the... Yeah, we'll get the data mine before then, but still, we'll be getting the anniversary characters reveals before Nemona leaves, right? So you will be able to see what the anniversary characters are, what the anniversary details are, select scouts, events, banners, all of that stuff, right? We'll be able to see all of that, and you can make your decision if you want to summon for Nemona or not because of that, right? So do keep that in mind there. Anyway, let us look at her grid here. Okay, so Nemona's got quite a lot here to look at, but 1 out of 5, let's look at that first. She's got speed debuff immunity and paralysis immunity. 2 out of 5, she has unflappable for no flinches, natural remedy to remove status conditions whenever applied. Nothing too crazy, right? Let's see. Thunder Punch, super duper effective 5. If you're going to go for super effective damage, you can potentially try and build up your Thunder Punch damage just because the move doesn't hit hard as it is, so you want to try and make it as powerful as possible. Wouldn't really work, I wouldn't really do it, but hey, it's an ability. Power Induction, 1 for 10% DPS multiplier. This can also apply to your buddy Double Shock. Grounding Wire to become immune to do status changes, Confusion, Flinch, or Trap whenever you're in electric terrain. Obviously, you're going to be running her in electric terrain. Turbocharge for a 20% gauge buff whenever you're in electric terrain. And that's mostly it. Training move NPR, again, that's a big one. I really do like training move NPR. Get that sync countdown. It can be very, very big, right? I really do think so. Anyway, 2 out of 5, nothing good. I would be honest, nothing really crazy here at 2 out of 5. 3 out of 5 is where everything is really at, like normal, right? But I think Nemona is especially a far bigger case, because in my opinion, the only valuable thing to pick up at 2 out of 5 is training move NPR, and that's it, in the grand scheme of things. Anyway, 3 out of 5, she has Static Shock here for a 50% sync multiplier. She needs as many sync multipliers as she can get since she doesn't have the Tech EX power buff, right? So keep that in mind. 2 sync buffs here. Haymaker, 100% sync multiplier whenever her attack is maxed. That's great. I think that's it for her sync move. Yeah, that's it for her sync move. So you got that 50% buff here, 100% buff here, and 100% buff from the innate, as well as the sync nodes there as well. So she will be doing pretty solid damage with her sync move, even without having like a Tech EX or anything like that. But you can still definitely feel the damage loss that most other Tech characters would be getting. Like, look at How here. How's got similar stats. He's still also got his own sync nuke and his innate multiplier and whatnot, right? But he's got the Tech EX to, alleviate a little bit of those, a little bit of that stuff, right? Nemona does not have that Tech EX, but still, 50% multiplier here, 100% multiplier here, 100% multiplier here. That's still going to hit hard, right? So do keep that in mind. Vigilance. Again, they do want to try and get you to use Nemona as a tank, though I don't really think having Nemona as a tank really works out that well. Anyway, sorry, I don't think that the tank stuff that they kind of are trying to give her here really culminates really well with her abilities. If they were to give her a more defensive utility, I do think that it would work out a little bit better. But even if we consider level 150 6-star EX, 224 defense, 205 special defense for an EX unit is not the greatest. 765 HP, that's solid enough. But these stats are not great enough for a defensive unit, especially a unit that doesn't have any form of reliable recovery. She has the gradual healing here and endurance, as well as the damage guard from this stuff, right, which is all good. Staggering 3 for a 40% flinch chance, which can be great there as well. Potential paralysis from Thunder Punch, especially when, you culminate with the Thunder Punch Hostile Environment 9 here as well. But I really just don't think any of this stuff really works out when trying to make this unit a tank. I wouldn't really try it. You probably can make it work, but it's more of a niche thing, right? It's something you're not really going to try to make big use of here with Nemona, right? At least I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I really doubt it. I would mostly just stick to like a nuking grid, maybe some more utility-based stuff as well. I could definitely see doing that for sure. Here's most of your nuking stuff, right? That's pretty much the grid you would go for if you want to do a big nuke, and that's pretty much it. But she also does have Thunder Punch, Speed Up, Power Up 9, 90% power buff to Thunder Punch whenever her speed is raised. Combine that with the Super Duper Effective 5 for a 50% DPS multiplier here, and you're going to be hitting pretty hard with your Thunder Punches, right? Only really, though, if you're super effective. Because even at 3 out of 5 with a 90% power buff, 51 base power is not enough damage to really make it up, right? At least I don't think so. Because let's take a look at another unit that is pretty similar with their multipliers, right? Let me look at, I don't know, Yuzin. So that is what, 140 base, 40% worth of power multipliers. Let's look at, I guess, Yuzin. Yuzin's not a bad one, except he's got a significantly more powerful move. Anyway, Whirlpool. Let's see, 60% plus 60% plus 50% here, right? 110%, 30% power or less. This is essentially if you are using Whirlpool as DPS. It is essentially the same, plus 30% power. That's it. So if you want to look at Yuzin's Whirlpool DPS maxed out, that's pretty much what you'd be getting from Nemona's Thunder Punches if you were, having all these multipliers, right? So do keep that in mind. Not really all that great. I think that's about, oh no, Catalytic Kick as well, not on her trainer move. Apply move gauge acceleration, this is also really, really good. This does make her a pretty gauge efficient unit. I would probably consider picking this up in a utility based grid for sure, as well as of course staggering 3. I do think that this type of grid here for her utility could be good. I would not try to make her a tank though. I probably would not try that much. You could also potentially try a dual nuking grid as well. I think that may work out just fine. Something like this. I know you're missing out on the Haymaker, but you could go for a little bit of a nuke as well as having this utility here. Just depends how you want to do it, right? If you want to abuse that sprint EX and get that sync count down, but also not hard commit to using a nuking grid, you can do that, right? This unit is definitely versatile enough for it. You also have Trip Up 9 here to debuff speed. Not really a major ability to note, right? But she can do it, right? They're making a lot of characters that can debuff speed, so I wouldn't really say this is too big of a note or anything. I think that's mostly it for the most part. She does have some nuke stuff. She's got some utility stuff like staggering, catalytic kick, trip up, hostile environment on Thunder Punch and that type of stuff, right? As well as attempts at tanking with vigilance, I guess, but I would not really trust it. Maybe if they gave her like some damage reduction or something in electric terrain, like I forget what the ability is, but if they gave her like damage reduction 40%, maybe 40% damage reduction in electric terrain, it would look a lot better. But I don't think her tanking grid is going to function too well. Anyway, 4 out of 5 here. Let's look at it. Team Evasive Maneuvers 9 has a 100% chance of raising the evasiveness of all allied sync pairs by 1 when the user's attack move is successful. That's not bad for sure. Being able to raise evasion, this can definitely make her tank grid look a lot better if you can just dodge attacks, right? Dodge attacks, heal up any attacks that may land on you with the gradual healing, right? And you could potentially be, sitting very, very pretty. Evasion's very, very underrated, very, very good ability. But of course, this is very slow buff, so you got to consider that as well. Would not say it's worth getting her to 4 out of 5 for, but sure, it exists. She also has Enfeeble 2, lowers enemies' defense by 2 on entry. Also wouldn't really pick this up. I don't really like Enfeeble that much because if the enemy has any X defense all, they instantly mitigate it. I don't really like it. I don't like a form of defense debuffing unless you can do it consistently and constantly. I'm not big on it, but whatever. Not bad abilities here for a 4 out of 5, but not worth actually candying her to 4 out of 5. And Sync Move, Physical Boost 2, 9. 100% chance of increasing physical moves next by 2 after using the user's Sync Move. This is not bad if you want to combine it with using the Buddy move here. You can definitely do that should you want to. That would not be bad. I doubt that would be bad looking, but again, you're going to 5 out of 5 for this. Wouldn't recommend picking it up, but it's not a bad ability. It's not. Especially if you want to, pick it up with like this. I could definitely see something like this working if you want to do a nuke grid. Definitely not a bad idea, right? Anyway, Her last ability here is hit paralyzed opponent defense and special defense down 9. 100% chance of lowering defense and special defense by 1 when the user's attack move is successful against a paralyzed opponent. This is a good ability, really good for sure. Being able to debuff defenses, both of them, whenever the enemy is paralyzed, very, very good, very, very easy. Sadly, it is locked behind 5 out of 5 and is more utility-based than anything, but that's still not a bad ability to have, right? Makes Enfeeble 2 look a lot more useful, because you're able to get more and more defensive debuffs very, very quickly, but really, not worth the 5 out of 5. If you're like a big Paldea fan and you want to, and you know, Nemona is going to be the first Paldean unit, you want a 5 out of 5er, I can definitely see her grid being good, especially with this Sync Move Physical Boost 2 and the hit paralyzed opponent defenses down. These abilities specifically can really culminate in something strong, and making Nimona look a lot more impressive, right? At least I think so. Also combined with Enfeeble 2, looks very, very good, right? But again, I would probably just recommend going to 3 out of 5, if anything, right? Most of the stuff, honestly, though, I think Nimona gets in her base kit is more than enough to really sell what she can kind of do. With her buddy move power stuff and whatnot, her sprint EX, that is definitely one of the big things because she is the first ever sprint unit, and all of that, right? I'm not really the craziest on her kit or anything like that. I don't think it's like the greatest thing ever, just because it's kind of all over the place. That's what I'm noticing about these field effects, like the Victor unit with Spectrier and Nimona here, is that their grids and kits are kind of all over the place. They want to do a lot, but they also want to they want to do a lot instead of focusing on one thing. And doing a lot's not bad, but you kind of have to really be good at it, right? I feel this unit tries a little bit too hard to do everything and doesn't really master anything, right? Because like you would want her to have a good nuke, but while the nuke's good, she's also missing out on that power buff, right, from a Tech EX, and it's kind of detrimental in some areas. It's not the worst thing in the world. You can definitely work around it, but I don't like it. I really don't like that you're missing out on that Tech EX for a sync nuke. And when it comes to her utility, it's kind of all over the place. You can do a little bit of debuffs, some gauge acceleration, some flinches, but you can't really master any of it, right? You can't get like 60% flinch chance or anything like that. You're kind of just relying on the 40%, right? Gauge acceleration is not bad either, but you know, it's just all these utility abilities are kind of all over the place, I would say. And, you know, it kind of makes it a little bit hard to work around. But it's not bad. It's not bad. Having these abilities is definitely nothing, you know, harming the unit for sure. It definitely just makes her better as a result. But I kind of wish they would focus a little bit more on making the unit have a little bit more of an objective and something like that, right? Like, even with techs, you look at Classic Elisa, it's pretty simple, right? She paralyzes all the opponents, and then she debuffs with her shock factor, and then she nukes them with her sync move, right? As well as being able to apply, you know, a max move, as well as having special damage reduction, right? All these abilities, you know, very, very simple to understand. Another unit here, right? Red, he does damage. I don't look at Red much. I'll be honest. I don't really look at Red all that much. He just looks like a big sync countdown / damage dealing unit to me. That's mostly it. I could definitely be wrong, though. I don't really look at Red all that much, though he does have a lot here, it seems. As well as Electric Terrain. Also, of course, having Electric Terrain, that's a big one. That's probably why he's a tech for the most part, right? But Nimona, I just look at her, even though she's a sprint unit, not a tech unit, these kind of units are just glorified techs. Honestly, sprint units are kind of just glorified techs as well as field units, but I do think that they can be good if they are to work a little bit around it, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah. I'm going to end the video there, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you think about Nimona and Pawmot here, being our first Paldean character, our first sprint character, as well as our first character to have an EX item. You know, she does a lot. She's a lot of the first things, right? Anyway, yeah. Let me know if you're going to be summoning for her down in the comments below. I do recommend waiting until the anniversary date of mine to summon if you are going to. I wouldn't really recommend summoning myself overall, but you know, if you do really, really like Nimona, just maybe try to wait a little bit until the anniversary comes. Maybe we'll get more Paldea characters. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, I'll see you all later. I hope you all enjoyed.